The man does not belong here. She sees it the moment he steps into the grand ballroom of the Corinthian Hotel. He moves through the glittering crowd with a stillness that is its own kind of noise. His tuxedo is perfectly tailored, but worn without pretense, a uniform for an occasion, not a statement of status. While others project, he absorbs. While others network, he observes. Clara Vance, for the first time CEO of Vance Automotives, stands on a low dais, a flute of champagne untouched in her hand. The glass is cold against her fingers. The room is warm, thick with the scent of expensive perfume and hothouse lilies. From her vantage point, she sees the entire ecosystem of her new kingdom. She sees bankers laughing too loudly, designers whispering in tight circles, and board members assessing her with reptilian patience. And she sees the man. He stands near a marble column, his back partially to the room, looking at a large oil painting of her father. Richard Vance, the founder, the legend, the ghost at this feast, held in her honor. Marcus Thorne materializes at her elbow, his presence as smooth and unwelcome as oil on water. A successful evening, Clara. Is it? She asks, her gaze still fixed on the quiet man by the painting. Marcus follows her line of sight. A small, dismissive smile touches his lips. Ah, Ethan Cole. Don't mind him. He's one of our shop floor mechanics. I'm not sure how he managed an invitation. The lie is effortless. It slides into the air and hangs there, smelling of truth. A mechanic, Clara repeats. It feels wrong. The way the man holds himself speaks of a discipline far removed from grease and engine blocks. A good one in his day, Marcus concedes, his tone dripping with false magnanimity. But he's become a problem, disgruntled, thinks the company owes him something more. My advice? Keep your distance. He's a liability. Clara processes the information. Liability. The word is a red flag in the meticulously ordered field of her new responsibilities. Her father's death was sudden, a heart attack that felt like a corporate tremor, and it left her scrambling for control. She feels the weight of the legacy, the expectation, the hundreds of employees whose livelihoods now rest on her shoulders. She cannot afford liabilities. Why is he here? She asks, the question sharp. Sentimental reasons, I suppose, Marcus says, waving a dismissive hand. Your father kept him on, a charity case after his wife passed. He has a young daughter. The mention of a child gives Clara a brief pang of something she cannot name. She pushes it down. Sympathy is a luxury she cannot afford tonight. Tonight requires a show of strength, a clear demarcation of the new era. Her era. The catalyst arrives on a silver tray, carried by a nervous waiter. A clumsy turn, a jostled elbow, and a glass of red wine arcs through the air. It lands squarely on the lapel of Minister Moreau, the French trade delegate, who is standing less than 5 feet from Ethan Cole. Moreau gasps. The crowd turns. A small circle of silence expands around the incident. Marcus seizes the moment. You see? He whispers to Clara, his voice a venomous hiss. Trouble finds him. That man is a disruption. Clara watches Ethan. He does not move. He does not apologize, though he was not at fault. He simply watches the stains spread on the minister's white dinner jacket, his expression unreadable. The waiter stammers apologies, dabbing uselessly with a napkin. This is her test. The entire room is watching, waiting to see how the new CEO handles this minor public crisis. She must be decisive. She must be strong. She must eliminate the liability. She descends from the dais, her heels clicking with sharp authority on the polished floor. The crowd parts for her. She walks directly to Ethan Cole, ignoring the flustered minister and the terrified waiter. She stops in front of him. He's taller than she expected. His eyes are a calm, steady grey, like a winter sea. They hold no panic, no deference. They simply watch her. "You are Mr. Cole," she states. It is not a question. "I am," he says. His voice is quiet, a low baritone that carries no further than the space between them. "You are no longer an employee of Vance Automotives," she says, her own voice colder than she intends. The words are clipped, precise. "Security will see you out." A flicker of something crosses his face. Not anger, not shock. It looks almost like pity, but that is impossible. He does not protest. He does not ask why. He does not defend himself or point out that the waiter was to blame. He holds her gaze for a long, silent count, for 3 full seconds that stretch into an eternity. In that look, she feels an unspoken weight, a history she cannot comprehend. Then he gives a single, small nod. He turns and walks toward the exit. He does not look back. The security guards, seeing his calm departure, merely follow at a respectful distance. He vanishes through the gilded doors, leaving behind a wake of whispers and a profound, unsettling silence in his place. Clara turns back to the minister, her composure a perfect mask. "Minister Moreau, my deepest apologies. Allow us to take care of that jacket, and please let me introduce you to our head of design. He is very eager to discuss the new coupe." She handles the aftermath with flawless efficiency, but as she smiles and shakes hands and makes promises, she cannot shake the image of his eyes. She has won the power play. She has asserted her authority. So why does she feel like she has made a terrible, irreversible mistake? The silence of her father's office is a physical presence. It is a vast, wood-paneled room on the top floor of the Vance Tower, smelling of old leather, lemon polish, and the faint, lingering scent of his cigar smoke. For 2 weeks, Clara has tried to make it her own. She has moved files, changed the computer, and replaced the heavy velvet curtains with something lighter. But the room resists. It remains his. She stands at the floor-to-ceiling window, looking down at the city lights. They are a glittering, indifferent carpet spread out below. The gala was 3 nights ago. The company buzzes with talk of her decisive action. Marcus has been relentlessly complimentary. "You showed them who's in charge," he said, his smile thin and satisfied. "You cut out the dead wood." But the memory of Ethan Cole's stoic departure is a splinter in her mind. It does not fit. Disgruntled employees argue. They cause a scene. They plead for their jobs. They do not simply nod and walk away with the quiet dignity of a king going into exile. His lack of reaction was a reaction in itself, a silent accusation she cannot decipher. She replays the scene. The spilled wine, Marcus's whisper, her own cold, public dismissal, and that final, steady look. It was not the look of a guilty man, or even an innocent one. It was the look of a man who understood the board and all its pieces far better than she did. She pushes away from the window and walks to the massive mahogany desk. Her father's desk. On it sits the file for the company's most critical project, the Ethelred, a revolutionary new hybrid engine set to redefine the luxury market. It was her father's passion project, his magnum opus. And it is failing. The diagnostic reports are a litany of despair, unexplained power fluctuations, overheating at high RPMs, a persistent, untraceable vibration that threatens to tear the engine apart. Her best engineers, the ones with doctorates from MIT and decades of experience, are stumped. They talk in circles about harmonic resonance and fuel injection mappings, but their theories lead nowhere. The project is behind schedule and bleeding money. She picks up the phone and dials the head of engineering, a man named Peterson. Any progress on the Ethelred? Peterson's sigh is heavy with fatigue. No, Miss Vance. It's the vibration. We can't isolate it. It's like there's a ghost in the machine. We're considering a full redesign of the housing, but that would set us back at least 6 months. 6 months. The board would panic. Their biggest investor, a sovereign wealth fund from the Middle East, would pull out. The thought sends a chill through her. That's not an option, she says. Keep working. She hangs up and rubs her temples. She feels adrift in her father's empire, a captain on a ship she doesn't know how to sail. She opens a desk drawer, searching for aspirin, and her fingers brush against a small, leather-bound notebook. It is one of her father's old pocket journals. She flips it open. His familiar, decisive scrawl fills the pages. Most of it is technical data and meeting notes, but one entry from 6 months ago catches her eye. Ethelred vibration is back. Peterson's team is lost. They look at the data. They need to learn to listen to the metal. Only EC can hear it. He finds the soul in the steel. EC. The initials hang in the air. A cold dread, sharp and certain, begins to form in her stomach. She finds his address in the old employee database, already marked for deletion. It is a modest street in a quiet, older suburb, a world away from the gleaming steel and glass of her life. She drives herself, her sleek Vance coupe an alien vessel on these tree-lined roads. She expects a shabby apartment, a place that reflects the charity case Marcus described. Instead, she finds a small, immaculate bungalow. The lawn is perfectly edged. The paint is fresh. A single light glows from a detached garage at the back of the property. She parks across the street and watches for a long time. She feels like a trespasser, a spy in a land of quiet integrity. What is she even doing here? Is she going to ask the man she publicly fired to save her company? The absurdity of it is overwhelming. Yet she gets out of the car. The air here is different. It smells of cut grass and the faint, clean scent of motor oil. As she walks up the driveway, she hears it. A low, rhythmic hum coming from the garage, the sound of a machine running in perfect balance. The large garage door is open. Inside is not the cluttered space of a hobbyist mechanic. It is a laboratory. The concrete floor is painted grey and is spotless. Tools hang in precise, orderly ranks on the walls. A complex piece of machinery, a lathe of some kind, is turning a piece of polished steel, shaving off microns of metal with each pass. And there is Ethan Cole. He wears simple canvas trousers and a grey t-shirt. He is not watching the machine. His eyes are closed. His hand rests lightly on the machine's housing, his head cocked as if listening to a secret. He is feeling the vibration, understanding its language. He is listening to the metal. He opens his eyes and switches off the machine. The sudden silence is profound. He turns and for the first time, he sees her standing at the edge of his driveway. He does not seem surprised. He simply watches her, his face calm, waiting. He wipes his hands on a clean rag. "Miss Vance," he says. The title is formal, correct. There is no trace of bitterness in his voice. "Mr. Cole," she replies, her own voice feeling thin and inadequate. I was in the neighborhood." It is the weakest lie she has ever told. He does not call her on it. He just nods, as if her presence here is the most natural thing in the world. He does not invite her in. He does not ask what she wants. He waits. The silence stretches, filled only by the ticking of the cooling lathe. A small voice breaks the tension. "Daddy, is that the lady from your work?" A little girl, no older than 7, steps out from the house. She has her father's serious grey eyes and a head of unruly dark curls. She holds a tall glass of lemonade in one hand and a small hand-drawn picture in the other. "Lily," Go back inside, Ethan says, his voice soft but firm. The girl, Lily, ignores him. She walks directly up to Clara, her gaze unwavering. You made my daddy sad, she says. It is a simple statement of fact, delivered without malice. Clara flinches. The child's words are more cutting than any adult's accusation could ever be. She starts, but has no answer. Lily holds out the drawing. It is a picture of a man with a wrench and a very large, smiling car. My daddy can fix anything, she says with absolute certainty. Then she looks down at her shoes. He misses Mr. Vance. Your daddy. The words hit Clara with the force of a physical blow. He misses Mr. Vance. This is not the statement of a disgruntled employee. This is the grief of a friend. Ethan steps forward and gently places a hand on his daughter's shoulder. Lily. Inside. Now. Lily looks from her father to Clara, then back again. She takes a hesitant step toward Clara and offers her the glass of lemonade. You look thirsty, she says. Clara finds herself taking the glass. Her hand is trembling. The glass is cool, beaded with condensation. The simple, kind gesture from the daughter of the man she ruined is an act of grace she does not deserve. Thank you, Lily, she whispers. Ethan guides his daughter back toward the house. At the door, he pauses and looks back at Clara, who is still standing frozen in his driveway, holding a child's drawing and a glass of lemonade. The vibration in the ethyl red, he says, his voice flat and devoid of emotion. It's not in the housing. It's in the tertiary injector coil, the one your father designed. Peterson's team is looking in the wrong place. And with that, he turns and follows his daughter inside, closing the door behind him. He leaves her alone with the truth, a truth that tastes like sweet lemonade and bitter shame. The news arrives via a crisp, formal email from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Minister Ziad Al-Jamil, a key political and financial figure from the United Arab Emirates, is beginning a state visit. His nation's sovereign wealth fund is the largest single investor in Vance Automotives. His visit is critical. Clara reads the attached itinerary, her stomach tightening. There is a tour of the factory, a review of the Ethyl Red project, and a formal state dinner. But it is a small, appended note from the minister's personal attaché that makes her blood run cold. Additionally, Minister Al-Jamil extends a personal invitation to a private dinner to be held on the evening of the 24th. He specifically requests the attendance of your company's founder, the late Richard Vance, or in his absence the current head of your Special Projects Engineering Division, a gentleman by the name of Ethan Cole. Clara reads the sentence 3 times. Special Projects Engineering, Ethan Cole. The division does not officially exist. It is a ghost on the company's organizational chart, and its supposed head is the man she fired for spilling wine. Marcus is in her office when she gets the news. She watches him as he reads the email. His face, usually a mask of smooth composure, tightens for a fraction of a second. It is a micro-expression of alarm, quickly suppressed. An administrative error, he says, tossing the tablet onto her desk. A name from an old file. The minister's staff is incompetent. I'll have my assistant clear it up. We'll tell them Mr. Cole is no longer with the company. You will, of course, dine with the minister in his place. No, Clara says, her voice quiet but firm. You will not. Marcus looks at her, a flicker of surprise in his eyes. Clara, it's a simple mistake. We can't have a foreign dignitary asking for a disgraced mechanic. Was he a mechanic, Marcus? She asks, leaning forward. Or was he the head of a division you told me didn't exist? It's a legacy title. Marcus lies, his voice smooth as silk. Your father was sentimental. He gave Cole a fancy name to make him feel important. It means nothing. The man changed oil filters and fixed dents. The lie is too quick, too polished. Her father was many things, but sentimental about job titles was not one of them. He was a pragmatist. Every role had a purpose. Only EC can hear it. "Leave it with me, Marcus," she says, her tone leaving no room for argument. "I will handle the minister's request personally." After he leaves, a cold certainty settles over her. She is standing on the edge of a chasm, and Marcus Thorne has been deliberately leading her toward it. She finds George Hemmings in the old archives, a cavernous, climate-controlled room in the basement of the Vance Tower. George is a relic from her father's era, the company's first-ever lead engineer. He has white hair, hands stained with the faint, permanent memory of grease, and eyes that have seen every success and failure the company has ever produced. He is supposed to be retired, but he still comes in twice a week. To keep the ghosts company, as he says. He is poring over a set of old, hand-drawn schematics under the warm glow of a desk lamp. "George," she says softly. He looks up, his eyes crinkling at the corners. "Clara, I was sorry to hear about Cole. He was a good man." "Tell me about him," she says, pulling up a stool. "Tell me about him and my father." George leans back, his gaze distant. He is a keeper of stories, and he chooses his words with care. "Your father and Ethan, they were cut from the same cloth. They believed in the work, in the integrity of the machine. Marcus said he was a mechanic." George lets out a short, harsh laugh. "Calling Ethan Cole a mechanic is like calling a brain surgeon a guy who's good with a knife. The boy is an artist. Your father found him after he left the service. Special forces, the kind of man who can build a radio out of a watch and a tin can. Your father didn't hire him for his resume. He hired him for his character." "Special projects engineering," Clara says. "What was it?" "It was whatever your father needed it to be," George says. "The skunk works. The place they put the impossible problems. The Ethelred engine was born there in Ethan's garage, with your father looking over his shoulder. It was their baby." Clara feels a wave of nausea. She has not just fired an employee. She has exiled the co-creator of her company's future. "Why was he working on the main floor?" she asks. "Why the pretense?" George's expression softens. "After his wife, Sarah, passed, everything changed. He had Lily. He couldn't keep the hours, couldn't travel. He needed a simple 9-to-5 job so he could be there to pick her up from school every day. He wanted to quit. Your father wouldn't let him. They made a deal. Ethan would take a role on the floor, keep a low profile. But he was still your father's first call whenever a real problem came up. It was a secret they kept, to protect the projects, and to protect Ethan from people who didn't understand." He means Marcus. "My father trusted him," Clara says, the words feeling like ash in her mouth. "With his life," George confirms, "and more importantly, with his engines. Richard Vance didn't give that trust to many people. He kept a private ledger, not for money, for thoughts, for truths. It's in the safe in his office. The combination is the serial number of the first engine they ever built together." He scribbles a long number on a piece of paper and slides it across the table. Clara looks at the number, then back at the old engineer. His eyes are filled with a sad, knowing wisdom. He is testing her. He has given her a key. Whether she has the courage to use it is up to her. The safe is behind a false panel, concealed behind a portrait of her grandfather. Clara has never opened it. She kneels, her fingers trembling slightly as she spins the heavy brass dial. The numbers from George's note click into place with satisfying precision. The handle turns. The heavy door swings open with a soft sigh of released pressure. Inside, there is only one item, a thick, black, leather-bound journal, her father's private ledger. She takes it to the desk and opens it under the lamp. The first page is dated 10 years ago. The last entry is from the day before he died. This is the secret history of her father's company, the truth written between the lines of the official reports. She reads for hours, the city lights coming on outside the window unnoticed. The words paint a picture that is devastatingly clear. She reads about Marcus Thorne, about his ambition, his corner-cutting, his habit of taking credit for successes and assigning blame for failures. Marcus sees the company as a balance sheet, her father wrote. He doesn't understand that the numbers are just a consequence of the work. The work is all that matters. She reads about Ethan Cole, about his quiet genius, his unwavering integrity. Ethan came to me today. He solved the resonance problem in the chassis. He didn't want credit. He just wanted it to be right. How do you reward a man like that? And later, Sarah's gone. The boy is broken, but not his spirit. He tried to resign. Said Lily is his only project now. I made him a promise. The company will wait for him. His work will be safe. And then she finds the trinity of truths, the 3 entries that change everything. The first, from a year ago. Marcus is pushing to outsource the injector coil manufacturing. Cheaper, he says. I know he's getting a kickback from the supplier. The design is inferior. I told him no. He will not compromise the heart of the Ethelred. I am moving the final prototypes to EC's workshop. It's the only place they're safe from Marcus's greed. The second, from 6 months ago. Met with Minister Al-Jamil's people. They are investing because of the Ethelred's promise. The minister remembers Ethan from his time in the service. It seems EC pulled him out of a very bad situation in Kandahar years ago. A debt of honor. The minister trusts the engine because he trusts the man who helped build it. A foundation of integrity. And the final, devastating entry, written the night before his heart attack. Clara is not ready. She sees the world through spreadsheets, just like Marcus. I have failed to teach her to listen to the metal. I pray she learns before he leads her astray. I will restore Ethan to his rightful place as soon as this deal is signed. He is the guardian of my legacy. He is the only one I trust to see it through. The journal falls from her hands. The room spins. Her father's legacy was not the company. It was the integrity of the work. And she, in her blind quest for control, had handed its guardianship over to the one man her father warned against, and exiled the very person he had trusted to protect it. She drives to Ethan's house in the dead of night. Rain has begun to fall, smearing the streetlights across her windshield. The light is on in his garage. He is there, standing over the disassembled components of a complex gearbox. He looks up as she approaches, his expression unreadable in the stark light. She doesn't stop at the edge of the drive this time. She walks right into the clean, orderly space, the rain dripping from her coat onto the spotless floor. She holds out the journal. I know, she says, her voice cracking. I know everything. He looks at the journal, then back at her. He does not take it. He simply waits. My father, he trusted you, she says, the words stumbling out. He was protecting you. He was protecting the work. And I am so sorry, Ethan. The apology is a raw, desperate thing. I was a fool. He listens, his head tilted slightly. The silence in the garage is absolute, broken only by the sound of the rain on the roof. Why didn't you say anything? She asks, her voice barely a whisper. At the gala. Why did you let me do that to you? He finally speaks, his voice low and even. Because you were the CEO. It was your company. Your decision to make. He picks up a polished steel gear, his movements calm and deliberate. And because Marcus was standing right behind you, arguing with you would have meant telling him exactly what your father and I were protecting. I made a promise to your father. I don't break my promises. His explanation is so simple, so rooted in honor, that it takes her breath away. He was willing to endure public humiliation to protect his work and a promise to a dead man. He wrote that he trusted you with his legacy, she says, tears welling in her eyes. And I threw you out. A small figure appears at the door connecting the garage to the house. It is Lily in her pajamas, rubbing her eyes. Daddy, there's yelling. Ethan puts the gear down and goes to her, kneeling down. It's okay, sweet girl. No one is yelling. Go back to bed. Lily looks past him at Clara. She sees the tears on Clara's face. She walks over, her small bare feet silent on the concrete floor. She reaches into the pocket of her pajama top and pulls out a small object. A little wooden bird, carved with incredible detail from a single piece of pine. It is smooth and warm to the touch. She holds it out to Clara. Daddy made it, Lily says softly. He says sorry is a hard word to say. You said it good. Clara's composure breaks. She takes the little bird, its perfect, simple form, a profound anchor in the storm of her regret. She kneels down in front of the child. Thank you, Lily, she whispers, her voice thick with emotion. The child has offered her absolution. A small wooden bird against the weight of a corporate empire. And in that moment, Clara knows which one holds more value. She looks up at Ethan, who is watching them, his stern facade finally cracking with a hint of something unreadable, something that might even be hope. The ethyl-red prototype sits in the sterile white light of the main R&D lab, a monument to failure. Peterson and his team of engineers stand around it, their faces grim. The minister's visit is in 36 hours. It's no good, Miss Vance, Peterson says, wiping his hands on a rag. We've checked the tertiary injector coil like you suggested. The specs are perfect. The vibration is still there. If anything, it's worse. Clara looks at the inert engine. It is a beautiful piece of machinery, but it has no soul. Leave me alone with it, she says. The engineers file out, their relief palpable. She walks over to the engine and places a hand on its cold metal housing. She closes her eyes, trying to listen, trying to feel what her father and Ethan felt, but she hears nothing but silence. The lab doors slide open. Ethan Cole walks in. He wears the same simple work clothes he wore in his garage. He carries a small, worn leather tool roll. He does not look at her. He walks directly to the engine. I need your help, Clara says to his back. It is not a request from a CEO to a subordinate. It is a simple, honest plea. I know, he says without turning around. He unrolls his tools on a clean workbench. They are not the standard issue tools of the Vance labs. They are older, perfectly maintained, each one settled into its specific place. I will reinstate you, she says. Head of R&D, your old title. Full authority. Whatever you want. He stops what he is doing and turns to face her. I want to do the work, he says. The titles don't matter. The work matters, and I want Marcus Thorne gone. He will be, she promises. Ethan nods once, satisfied. I work alone, he says. No committees, no oversight. The lab is yours, she says. He turns back to the engine. For the next 8 hours, Clara watches from the glass-walled observation room. He does not use the complex diagnostic computers. He uses his hands, his eyes, his ears. He moves with an unhurried, focused grace. He disassembles the injector assembly, laying out each component on a white cloth in perfect order. He runs his fingertips over the polished surfaces, feeling for imperfections the computers could not detect. He holds a metal rod against the housing, pressing the other end to his ear like a stethoscope, listening to the engine's silent secrets. It is a process of intimacy, a conversation between a man and a machine. Just after dawn, he finds it. He calls her into the lab. He points to a tiny, almost invisible component inside the coil, a micro-calibrator pin no bigger than a grain of rice. "Here," he says. He places it under a digital microscope. On the large screen, the image is magnified 1,000 times. Along the pin's shaft is a hairline fracture, a flaw so minuscule it would be invisible to the naked eye. "This is from the new supplier," he states. "The one Marcus approved. The metal is inferior. Under pressure, it develops this fracture. It creates a harmonic imbalance so subtle the sensors read it as background noise, but it's enough to throw the whole engine out of sync." He picks up another pin from his own toolkit. It looks identical. "This is the original design, your father's design. The alloy is different." He replaces the pin, his movements swift and sure. He reassembles the components with the quiet confidence of a man who is completely at one with his craft. When he is finished, he turns to her. "Start it." Clara goes to the control console, her heart pounding. She initiates the startup sequence. The ethyl-red engine spools up, not with a roar, but with a clean, powerful hum. It is the sound of perfect balance. The vibration is gone. The ghost has been exorcised. The soul of the machine is restored. The emergency board meeting is convened in the main conference room an hour before Minister Al-Jamil is due to arrive. The air is thick with tension. Marcus Thorne sits at the head of the table opposite Clara, a look of smug confidence on his face. He believes this meeting is to announce the failure of the Ethelred project, a failure he engineered, which will lead to Clara's removal and his own ascension. The door opens and Ethan Cole walks in. He is dressed in a simple, dark suit. He does not take a seat at the table. He stands silently against the far wall, a quiet, formidable presence. Marcus's smug expression wavers for a moment. Clara begins without preamble. She does not raise her voice. She is calm, methodical, lethal. "Good morning," she says, her gaze sweeping across the faces of the board members. "We are here today to discuss an act of industrial sabotage that threatened the future of this company." She presents the evidence with cold precision. Financial records showing the kickbacks Marcus received from the new parts supplier. Internal emails where he repeatedly overruled her father's objections to the change. She plays a recording from the lab's security cameras, showing one of Marcus's own engineers secretly swapping the original calibrator pins in the prototype for the flawed ones. Finally, she places her father's journal on the polished table. "And this," she says, "is my father's private ledger. In it, he details his deep concerns about Mr. Thorne's integrity and his plan to defraud this company." Marcus sputters, his face turning a blotchy red. "This is absurd. Lies. This is the desperate act of a failed leader trying to save her own skin. That mechanic," he says, jabbing a finger toward Ethan, "has clearly poisoned her mind." Clara does not respond to him. She looks toward the back of the room. "Ethan," she says, her voice clear and strong, "is the engine that is currently in the Ethelred prototype the one my father designed and approved?" Ethan takes 2 steps forward. All eyes in the room are on him. His gaze is fixed on Marcus, and it is as hard and unforgiving as forged steel. "No," he says. The single word lands with the force of a judge's gavel. It is the simple, undeniable truth, and it shatters Marcus's web of lies completely. The vote is a formality, unanimous. The board members, including the grim-faced representative from the Minister's Fund, vote for Marcus Thorne's immediate dismissal and to turn the evidence over to the authorities. Security guards enter the room. They walk to Marcus, who is sitting stunned, his face a mask of disbelief. As they escort him out, his final, desperate gaze falls on Clara. She meets it not with triumph, but with a cold, quiet finality. She has cut out the cancer. After the room has cleared, only Clara and Ethan remain. The silence is vast. They walk out together, their footsteps echoing in the empty hallway. They do not speak until they reach the deserted executive parking garage. The air is cool and smells of concrete and exhaust. "Thank you," Clara says, the words feeling small and inadequate for what he has done. "I was protecting your father's work," he replies. It is not a dismissal of her gratitude, but a clarification of his motive. His loyalty is to the legacy, not to her. Not yet. "The board has reinstated you, head of research and development," she says. He stops beside her car, looking not at her but out at the grey city skyline. "I'll take the job," he says, "but I'm not moving. My home, my garage, my life is there, with Lily." He is drawing a line, setting a boundary. He will not be drawn into her world of boardrooms and corporate politics. She must come to his. "I know," she says. "The company will build a new R&D facility, wherever you want it, a proper one, near your home." It is a concession, an act of reciprocity. She will not pull him into her world, she will move a piece of her world to his. He gives a small nod of acceptance. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out a small, heavy object. It is the original calibrator pin from the Ethelred engine, the one he made, the one her father approved. He places it in her palm. The metal is cool and smooth. "A reminder," he says. "Of what?" she asks, closing her hand around it. "That things that are built well last." It is a piece of advice. It is a promise. It is the beginning of a new foundation, one built not on inheritance, but on earned trust and mutual respect. 3 months pass. The autumn leaves have fallen, and a crisp winter chill is in the air. On a plot of land a few miles from Ethan's home, a new building is rising from the ground. It is sleek and modern, a state-of-the-art research facility that will be the new heart of Vance Automotives. Ethan's heart. The company, under Clara's steady hand, is thriving. The successful demonstration of the Ethelred engine for Minister Al-Jamil secured a partnership that has infused the company with new life and purpose. The story of Marcus Thorne's treachery and Ethan Cole's quiet vindication has become a quiet legend within the company walls, a cautionary tale about the difference between power and integrity. Clara finds she spends less and less time in her father's cavernous office. The work is out here, where the metal is being shaped, where the problems are being solved. Her world has tilted on its axis, moving from the top floor of a skyscraper to a small town that smells of wood smoke and possibility. It is a Saturday afternoon. The town is holding its annual winter fair on the green. The air is filled with the scent of roasted chestnuts and hot cider. Clara is here, not as a CEO, but as a guest. She wears jeans and a warm wool coat. The small, carved wooden bird Lily gave her is in her pocket. She finds them by the swings. Lily is soaring through the air, her laughter a bright, clear sound against the grey sky. Ethan and Clara stand on either side, pushing the swing in a comfortable, unspoken rhythm. His hand brushes hers on the backswing, a brief, warm contact that sends a jolt through her. Neither of them pulls away. They are a strange, unlikely trio, the quiet craftsman, the powerful CEO, and the wise child who brought them together. For the first time in a very long time, since long before her father died, Clara feels a sense of peace, a sense of belonging. Later, as dusk settles, they walk back to Ethan's house. The streetlights flicker on, casting a warm, golden glow. Lily walks between them, holding both of their hands. Her small hand in Clara's is a trusting, solid weight. After Lily is tucked into bed, asleep with a smile on her face, Ethan and Clara stand on his front porch. The night is cold and perfectly clear. The sky is a vast, dark blanket studded with 1,000,000 distant stars. They stand in comfortable silence, a foot of space between them, watching the constellations. The silence is different now. It is not an absence of words, but a presence of understanding. It is a shared space, earned through crisis and forgiveness. He does not thank her for the new facility. She does not thank him for saving her company. The grand gestures have already been made. What is left is this: the small, quiet moments that build a life. He turns to her, his face lit by the pale moonlight. His grey eyes are soft, the hardness she first saw in them gone, replaced by a deep, steady warmth. She thinks of the gala, of the woman she was, so desperate to project strength that she was blind to its true form. She has learned to listen, not just to the metal, but to the quiet truths that lie beneath the surface of things. He does not move closer. She does not bridge the gap. There is no need. They have all the time in the world. The future is an unwritten schematic, waiting to be designed. For now, there is only the stillness of the night, the distant stars, and the quiet, unspoken promise of a thing, built well, that will last.